Welcome back. Well, today we have Pat Bates, who is a candidate for Orange County Supervisor's 5th District. Well, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. It's great to be back. I was just saying to the gentleman that I met coming in, longtime friends, that it's so great to be back in the district. And I will introduce my candidacy by saying I want to come back to Orange County. I want to leave Sacramento and be back among friends and be back among people where we get things done and we provide solutions for our communities and our people. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Very excited to be here and have that conversation with you.
Excellent. Well, you know, we talked a little bit off camera. We're talking about, you know, waste and abuse within our government. And, you know, sometimes it's pretty evident. And one thing that you mentioned to me that's very interesting is the promises that were made have not been kept. So if you were to evaluate those things that you're going to talk about, let's start there.
That's a great question. We have in the Orange County Transportation Authority, which I would serve on that board, a motto: promises made, promises kept. And if our residents of Orange County take a look at what has gone on with the sales tax that was approved specifically for transportation improvements, you can see them everywhere in Orange County. In fact, when I was on the board, I got the privilege of completing some of those. What we have in county government now, I believe that it was a very difficult time during the pandemic to meet all of the needs that we were seeing and make sure that we kept people as safe as possible.
Right.
We had a problem with the mandates. I do believe, I'll go right to homelessness, one of the big issues. We needed to do something that was individualized. We know our people in our communities, what the spread is, what the infection rate, how we can control that. There was no emphasis on therapeutics, which should have been. So I think in terms of fraud, abuse, and waste, we need to take a deeper look at each one of our departments, each look at our agencies, and ensure there's accountability for the taxpayer dollars that go into that. Right. If there is fraud, when we were on the board, we set up, when I was on the board with my colleagues, we set up the whistleblower process so that if you saw things that maybe weren't fraud, but they were misusing dollars that could be saved, right, they were allowed to report it. And then we had a performance audit component that went in and took a look at it. So I will continue that effort. I have to say I'm not sure if it continues there, but it was very effective when I was on the board, and we'll do that.
I think that's important because there are many times that we've talked to assembly folks here, and they do talk about accountability. But what is actually being done in that means? Are they having task force or whatever they put together to make sure that's happening?
Accountability is based on doing the kind of deep performance auditing and having a dashboard. So you said you were going to do X, you're going to do it in 6 months. So in 6 months, who's supposed to take a look to see if you accomplish that? Your leaders, your elected leaders. That doesn't necessarily happen to the degree it should at state level, but here in local governments and in the county in particular, we actually have that function. And I do believe, based on the way we managed the 2008-2010 recession, we did a good job on that, and I would be back to make sure that that's still operative. And if not, I'll be talking about it.
Excellent. Now, you know, Californians are paying an awful lot in taxes, and there's an exodus happening, and that's unfortunate, and we've lost a seat. And so what do you think we need to do differently in California?
Well, we need to bring people into the equation. When I'm on the floor of the Senate and I hear some of the arguments, it seems like there's an out of touch with our people out in the communities. For example, we continue to put more mandates on our energy producers. We have now focused on only one source of energy going forward, that's electricity. We do not have a grid that's upgraded to accommodate that. We're talking about charging stations. Well, do you know who's going to pay for charging stations? We are going to pay that on our electricity bills. So look at our friends out in the Inland Empire that have these very huge swings in temperature. Very hot, hot, hot in the summer, very cold, cold, cold. They are paying, if I remember correctly, it's 30 to 35% of their income goes to energy costs. So these are laws that come out of Sacramento. As a county supervisor, you don't have a lot to say about that in terms of a vote on a particular measure. But I think our board can be very effective, more so than we have been, if we start raising our voices. We take that bully pulpit and say, hey guys, what are we doing to common man out there in our districts? We came up here you came up here to represent them, and you seem to have lost touch with, you know what the average, what is it, the medium income for a family of four that's at low income is $140,000 a year. That used to be income of upper middle class, and now it can barely afford 2 children, a mom and a dad, and guess what mom and dad are doing? They are both working. They're both driving with that horrible tax on gas. So these are things that you just have to say, how did this happen? It's out of touch. And I would submit that you cannot have a supermajority in your legislature that has only one way of thinking about what we all need. Let us tell you what we need, because you are supposed to be representing us. And that's what's going wrong. And I assure you, at the Board of Supervisors, people will have an opportunity to share their concerns, their needs with us at that board meeting. I have been approached by many constituents that tell me that they've only been allowed a minute to speak at the Board of Supervisors. When I was on the board, we allowed 3 minutes and sometimes 5, depending on what the issue is. When we were fighting the airport, I was at the head of that. If they only allowed us a minute to talk about what it was going to do to our environment, believe me, there would have been a revolt. But at least then we were able to enter our concerns. And of course, I have to say, without Laguna Woods Village in the front lines of that effort, we would be sitting here with more sound attenuation, because the noise would be incredible. And by the way, let me mention very quickly, that is a very important point, because there's talk right now of an airport improvement program for the county. I have not seen the details, but I have pledged to the people that live in that airport path, and it's basically South County, Newport Beach, we will not increase overflights in our communities. And we are pledged to that, and we will certainly do everything with me sitting on that board to ensure that that does not happen.
Well, let's talk a little bit about crime. You know, there's an awful lot that we see on TV these days, and we've talked to the Sheriff's Department, and we do really, I think, enjoy our Sheriff's Department, that they do a really great job. You know, maybe working with them, what are some things that you see can be improved in terms of helping crime?
I think that giving the law enforcement the resources they need, they have become very inventive in terms of dealing with what we see as a big cause of crime, and that's homelessness, and the people who are desperate, and people who are on drugs, addicted. They have to have their fix, so they just, what is that? The run in and grab. Anything that is they can monetize. So empowering our law enforcement to do more in that arena is very important. And I know that Sheriff Barnes has created I guess it's a unit within the Sheriff's Department that's going to deal with behavioral health. And as Sheriff Barnes has said, they have become basically the mental health unit for the County of Orange in triaging. So I will be 100% with them. And I'd like to mention Sheriff Barnes gave me the first elected official award that's ever been given by the sheriff for my work over the many years in terms of making sure they had the resources, ensuring that working with our Sheriff's Department, we had the safety, and we had our contract cities had the kind of resources they need. So that's a very proud moment, and it was a total surprise. I thought I had to go and give a speech, and I walked in, and Sheriff Barnes came up and he said, "We have an award for you," and I went, "Oh, you got to be kidding." But also fentanyl, and I hope our residents here are very aware of that, because they do have need for the opioids, in which we have found that fentanyl is being laced into that. The biggest deaths right now are between 18 and 45 who have been taking opioids laced with fentanyl, and there is only, what is it? It's basically 2 minutes to be revived. So we've lost so many people, and I have fought and fought and fought. I've been introducing legislation since 2016, working with Sheriff Barnes, and we still haven't made a dent in it, but we keep up the fight.
Well, we certainly need to address that for sure, because there's an awful lot of fentanyl coming over the border in all areas, and it really is a frightening situation. So, real quick, I know you've mentioned homelessness a few times. Let's just touch on it real quick. You mentioned that you have requested some monies for another
Yes.
Be Well Center.
Yes. When you asked about the budget, it's huge. The surplus is huge, running somewhere between, I think it's 32 billion and 52 billion, something in there. And we'll know shortly because the May revise for the state budget is coming out pretty quick next week, I believe. But $10 million I've requested as the money that has come in out of that new capital gains increase in the budget in our resources, and that would go to help Orange County build another Be Well Orange County Center. And I hear very good reports about the differences they're making with people who are addicted, who are seeking help. And I want to make a real emphasis on that. There are programs that are dictated by state law and federal law that we can have only housing first. So that's like taking people and just putting them into these motel, hotels, whatever, but they are not required to have any services. We have so many people that want to have mental health counseling. They need physical treatments, mental health treatments. Be Well Orange County is doing that, yet our state government just denied one of my bills that would have allowed us to have housing first plus, is what I'm calling it. Give people housing and then give them the services that they want. It's a volunteer program. So we'll continue to work, and again, back to the bully pulpit. The Board of Supervisors can be a very strong advocate voice to our state government. We need to do more of that.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate all of the information that you have shared with us. It sounds like you are on the right track, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you again for letting me share some of these thoughts with your community. And I hope they know how much I love them. From the very beginning, I stood in, I think it was Clubhouse 5, and urged them to incorporate. It was the best thing they ever did.
All right, thank you again. And if you want more information about what Pat Bates has talked to us about today, you can go to batesforsupervisor.com. We'll be right back.